You wake up, and within minutes, the coffee is on. For most men over 35, this is so automatic it doesn't even feel like a decision. It just happens. But here's something almost nobody talks about. It's not the coffee that's the problem, it's when you drink it. And that timing, a window of roughly 60 to 90 minutes, is quietly making your calorie deficit harder to sustain for the entire rest of the day. In this video, I'm going to explain exactly what's happening and build out a complete morning routine that works with your biology instead of against it, including the truth about breakfast, because the answer there might surprise you. Here's what we're covering. First, the exact science behind why coffee timing affects your hunger and calorie control. Not the hormone story you may have heard before, the specific mechanism that determines how much you eat by 3 p.m. Second, the breakfast question, and I want to be straight with you on this one, because most health channels get it wrong. Breakfast is not mandatory. Skipping it is not a mistake, and if you're already doing it intentionally, you might be doing something smarter than you realize. Third, when you do eat that first meal, there is one specific thing that changes how hungry you are for the rest of the day, and most men don't do it. And fourth, I'll pull all of this together into a practical morning structure that actually fits into a real life. Let's start with the coffee. To understand why coffee timing matters, you need to understand two things that are happening in your body every morning. The first is adenosine. Adenosine is a compound that builds up in your brain throughout the day as a byproduct of normal cell activity. The more it accumulates, the more tired you feel. Sleep clears it out, which is why you wake up feeling refreshed after good sleep. Caffeine works by blocking the receptors that adenosine binds to. Block the receptors, and the tiredness signal can't get through. You feel alert. That's the mechanism, and it works. But here's what most people don't know. Caffeine doesn't clear adenosine, it just blocks the signal temporarily. While caffeine is doing its job, adenosine keeps accumulating in the background, building and building, waiting. When the caffeine wears off, usually 4 to 6 hours after your first cup, all of that backed up adenosine floods the receptors at once. That's the crash, and it's proportional to how much adenosine built up while caffeine was blocking it. Now, here's where timing comes in. In the first 30 to 90 minutes after waking, your body is already producing a natural alertness response, a cortisol rise that's specifically designed to help you wake up and feel functional. If you drink coffee during this window, you're stacking caffeine on top of a cortisol peak that's already doing the job. Two alertness signals at the same time. Your body responds by building more adenosine receptors to compensate, which means you need more caffeine over time to get the same effect. And when both the cortisol and the caffeine wear off together, in the early to mid-afternoon, the crash is sharper and hits faster than it would have otherwise. And here is the direct connection to your calorie deficit. That afternoon crash drives hunger, not mild hunger, urgent, hard-to-ignore hunger, specifically for fast energy foods. High carb, high sugar, high calorie. The vending machine, the biscuit with the afternoon coffee, the something quick before dinner. Each of those unplanned choices adds calories you didn't budget for. And they're not happening because of poor discipline. They're happening because of a hunger signal that was manufactured in the morning by the timing of your first coffee. Research on appetite and caffeine timing consistently shows that men who delay their first coffee consume fewer total calories across the day. Not because they tried to eat less, but because the afternoon hunger signal was weaker. The fix: wait 60 to 90 minutes after waking before your first coffee. Let the natural cortisol rise do its job first. Then caffeine fills in as that natural peak starts to decline, which extends your energy smoothly, produces a gentler drop, and keeps afternoon hunger manageable. Now, what do you do in that 60 to 90-minute window instead? And what about breakfast? Because this is where I want to say something that most people in this space won't tell you. Let me be honest about breakfast. The conventional advice, eat within 30 minutes of waking, never skip breakfast, it's the most important meal of the day, is not supported by the research as an absolute rule. For some men, breakfast is genuinely useful. For others, it isn't. And the difference comes down to one thing: intention. Here's what the research actually shows. Intermittent fasting, specifically the 16-8 approach, where you fast for 16 hours and eat within an 8-hour window, has solid evidence behind it for fat loss in men over 35. If you had dinner at 7 p.m. and you don't eat until 11 a.m. or noon the next day, that's roughly 16 hours of fasting. Which means that you're not even close to a full overnight fast when you wake up at 7 a.m. You're at 12 hours. There's real benefit in extending that window rather than immediately eating. During a fasting state, insulin stays low. And when insulin is low, your body has a clear path to accessing stored fat for energy. Eating, especially carbohydrates, raises insulin and closes that window. And if you go further back than current research, the evolutionary argument is worth considering. Our ancestors didn't eat breakfast. They woke up and they worked, they hunted, they gathered, they moved. Food came when it was successfully found, which was often midday or later. The idea that humans need to eat immediately upon waking is a modern construct, driven more by food industry marketing than by biology. So, if you're someone who wakes up, drinks black coffee, feels completely functional, and doesn't eat until noon, you're not making a mistake. You're doing something that works for your body and supports your calorie deficit. Keep doing it. But, and this is the important distinction, there are two types of men who skip breakfast, and they get completely different results. Type 1 is the intentional faster. He skips breakfast deliberately. He understands his eating window. He's not hungry in the morning and he doesn't fight that. He eats a proper protein-anchored first meal when his window opens, and his total daily intake stays controlled. Type 2 is the accidental skipper. He skips breakfast not by design, but because he's busy, rushed, or just not thinking about it. By midday, he's running on stress hormones and low blood sugar. He arrives at lunch in a state of urgency, and he overeats without realizing it. Then he's hungry again by 3 p.m. Then he eats a large dinner, and his total daily calorie intake ends up significantly higher than if he'd eaten something structured in the morning. The act of skipping breakfast is not the problem. The absence of intention is. If you're type 1, you already have this handled. If you're type 2, the fix isn't necessarily eating breakfast. It's deciding, making it a deliberate choice rather than something that just happens. Now, for the men who do eat in the morning, or who are breaking their fast at whatever time that is, there is one specific thing about that first meal that changes how hungry you are for the rest of the day. Whether your first meal is at 7 a.m. or at noon, what you eat at that meal sets the hunger pattern for the rest of the day. And the single most important factor in that first meal is protein. Here's why. Protein is the most satiating macronutrient. Gram for gram, it keeps you fuller for longer than carbohydrates or fat. But it goes beyond just feeling full. Protein at the first meal has a specific effect on ghrelin, your primary hunger hormone. Studies consistently show that a high-protein first meal suppresses ghrelin for significantly longer than a carbohydrate-heavy meal. What that means practically, you get fewer hunger signals between meals. Cravings are weaker. The pull toward unplanned snacking in the afternoon is noticeably reduced. And there's a blood sugar component too. A protein-anchored first meal produces a slow, flat blood sugar curve, particularly when compared to a carbohydrate-heavy first meal like toast, cereal, or a pastry. That flat curve means no sharp mid-morning blood sugar crash, which means no mid-morning hunger spike, which means you arrive at your next meal in a calm, controlled state rather than a depleted, reactive one. The practical result of all of this. Research shows that men who eat a high-protein first meal consume significantly fewer total calories across the day, without trying to eat less. The satiety does the work. You don't need an elaborate meal. Eggs are the most practical option for most men. 3 eggs gives you roughly 18 to 20 grams of protein, takes 5 minutes, and produces exactly the blood sugar response you want. Greek yogurt, cottage cheese, a protein shake, leftover meat. All of these work. The specific food is less important than the protein content. Aim for 30 to 40 grams of protein at the first meal, whether that meal is at 7 a.m. or noon. And minimize refined carbohydrates at that first meal. Not all carbohydrates, just the high glycemic options that spike and crash blood sugar early. White bread, sugary cereals, pastries, fruit juice. These set up the spike and crash cycle that drives hunger for the rest of the day. So the coffee is timed. The breakfast question is answered. Now, let's build the full morning structure that holds all of this together. Here's what a morning that supports fat loss actually looks like, in order from the moment you wake up. And I'll give you two versions, one for men who eat breakfast and one for men who fast until later in the day. Step 1. Water before anything else. Your body is mildly dehydrated after 7 to 8 hours without fluids. Drinking 500 milliliters of water within the first 15 minutes of waking rehydrates your cells, supports kidney function, and importantly, blunts the morning hunger signal that often gets mistaken for food craving. Many men who think they're hungry in the morning are actually just dehydrated. This also helps you wait for the coffee. Water gives you something immediate and physically satisfying while the cortisol peak does its work. Step 2. 10 to 15 minutes of movement or outdoor exposure. This doesn't need to be exercise. A short walk outside, some light movement around the house, or simply stepping outside for fresh air. The goal here is twofold. It depletes the residual blood sugar from overnight, which helps clarify the cortisol rise, and it signals to your body that the day has started. Movement in the morning also improves insulin sensitivity for the hours ahead, which means the food you eat later is processed more efficiently. If it's outdoors, even better. Natural light in the morning helps calibrate your appetite hormones for the day. But this is a bonus, not a requirement. The movement is the priority. Step 3. Coffee at 60 to 90 minutes after waking. By this point, your natural cortisol peak has had time to rise and begin its plateau. Caffeine now fills in as a complement rather than a replacement, extending your alertness smoothly without the stacked crash. Black coffee or with a small amount of milk. Avoid sugar or sweetened syrups. A sugary coffee drink at this point introduces a blood sugar spike that starts the craving cycle before you've even eaten. If you're fasting, this is your anchor. Black coffee does not break a fast. It actually supports the fasting state by mildly suppressing appetite and providing just enough alertness to function well through the morning. Step 4. The first meal, timed according to your approach. If you eat breakfast, eat within the first 2 hours of waking. Build it around protein, 30 to 40 grams minimum, eggs, Greek yogurt, cottage cheese, meat. Minimize refined carbohydrates at this meal. Keep it simple and repeatable. The more decisions a breakfast requires, the less likely you are to do it consistently. A practical default. 3 eggs cooked any way, with whatever vegetables you have available, done in 5 minutes. 18 to 20 grams of protein, stable blood sugar, no spike and crash. If you fast, maintain the fast with water and black coffee through the morning. When your eating window opens, typically between 11 a.m. and 1 p.m., make that first meal protein anchored. This is the most important meal of your day. Don't break a 14 or 16-hour fast with toast or cereal. Break it with protein. If hunger becomes uncomfortable during the morning, check hydration first. Drink water. The hunger signal and the thirst signal are processed in the same part of the brain and are frequently confused. Most genuine morning hunger resolves with 500 milliliters of water. Step 5. Protect the morning from reactive decisions. The morning is when your decision-making quality is highest. Use it deliberately. Check your food plan for the day, even just a rough idea of what you'll eat at each meal. Men who plan loosely eat better than men who don't plan at all. You don't need a perfect meal plan. You need to have thought about it before you're hungry. Keep processed, high-carb foods out of easy morning reach. The first grab-and-go option sets the tone for the day. If the easiest thing to eat in the morning is eggs, you eat eggs. If the easiest thing is cereal, you eat cereal. Your environment makes more decisions than your willpower does. So let's go back to where we started. You wake up, and within minutes, the coffee is on. Nothing dramatic about that moment, nothing that feels like a fat loss decision. But now you understand what's happening in that window. The cortisol peak rising naturally, the adenosine building in the background, and coffee arriving early, stacking on top of both, setting up an afternoon crash that will drive hunger and unplanned eating before the day is even half done. That's not a discipline failure, that's a timing problem. And the fix is not dramatic. It's not a complete morning overhaul. It's water first, a short walk, coffee at 60 to 90 minutes, and a first meal, whenever that is, at 8 a.m. or at noon, that's built around protein. The calorie deficit is still the mechanism. Nothing about this video changes that. But sustaining that deficit gets significantly easier when the morning isn't working against you. That's the difference between a morning that sets you up and one that quietly sabotages everything you're trying to do. If this video helped you understand things a bit clearer, I appreciate you taking the time to watch it. What I focus on here is simple, realistic approaches that middle-aged men can actually stick to, because that's what gets real results. If that's something you're working on, you can stick around for more.